What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on for Mike here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06, featuring that next mod as well, as we got 8 games of great action here in week number 4. So you're going to want to buckle up, as it's going to be a good one, man. So make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you have to be brand new, as that does help me out with that fancy smancy YouTube algorithm. As we will start with our first game of the day. We got Richmond going on the road to take on Sacramento State, and they are already figured out in person that Sacramento State, they are not a team to be messing with here in year number 4, as we are going to get a 90-yard touchdown pass from Corey Hall to Espinoza, run away from multiple Richmond defenders, as that will be the first touchdown that we see in this episode. And Corey Hall, we're going to find out real quick, he's going to be wheeling and dealing today. He's going to throw another deep bomb over the middle of the field, and it's going to be caught by the custom player Jacob Hill, as the sophomore is going to get himself a 55-yard touchdown as well. And Sacramento State quickly pulls away a 14-3 game as we get into trying to get into halftime, at least with some decency. How about this run right up the middle? It was originally contained by the Richmond front 7, but hey, find a way to keep those legs moving, breaking some tackles. And it's going to be oddly their first red zone opportunity of the day. We've seen a lot of success with the Sacramento State offense, and they will catch their first red zone opportunity in with a touchdown for Sacramento State, as that is going to be the fullback that is going to punch it in. That's going to be a 21-3 lead for the Sacramento State Hornets. How about that run by Bonds? But with 42 seconds left in the first half, Richmond goes free and out, so this provides another chance for the Hornets to possibly get some more points on the board down the sideline, and it's going to be brought down inside the 5-yard line. How about that throw and catch? Jenkins able to work that sideline really well, running over a couple of defenders too. It just illustrates why Sacramento State is perfect in the red zone this year. Looking for 5 for 5, and they're going to get it. Another touchdown for Espinoza. And for those of you that are paying attention at home, Corey Hall, he gets his third touchdown pass of the day. This is why he got that starting job back after, coming back from injury. Tyler Murray, who's now at Northern Arizona, he was pretty good last year, but Corey Hall is just on a different level. Takes him up to really from a FCS playoff hopeful to a playoff contender. Maybe a very sneaky pick to win the national championship. I'm just saying, they got that type of talent. You never know any given Saturday. But it's not a good Saturday for Richmond whatsoever. They're now down 35-3 right now. And we still got a ton of football left to play as well, as Hall's going to throw another one out to the right-hand side. That is a contested catch to Jacob Hill, as that will take Corey Hall over 300 yards passing on the day. I mean, look at this catch by Jacob Hill. It's not even does anything fancy. He just runs that go route and comes down and makes the catch, going to a quarterback that's dealing today. 349, 4 touchdowns. Does he make it touchdown number 5? He does not. He's going to hand it off instead. And it's still that same result. That's going to be another touchdown for Sacramento State. The Hornets are going to take a 42-3 lead. We'll see if Richmond has a little bit of fight in them, as John Atkins in the shotgun. They still have their starters in the game. Throwing it out to the left-hand side. Throws a bomb, and it's going to be caught. So Richmond will eventually find the end zone in this one. That will end up being a touchdown for the Spiders of Richmond, as they will cut it down to 32 points. Atkins got some great protection there, and when he gets great protection, he can throw a great football as well. Unlike Corey Hall, Atkins was just absolutely harassed today. As now we'll see Sacramento State take back over after the Richmond touchdown, trying to go to the fullback. So it ends up not being a perfect day for the aforementioned Corey Hall, as we will see him throw an interception in this one. after all. But that being said, it's still going to be a convincing Sacramento State victory in this one. 56-17 is going to be your final score, with Espinoza being the player of the game. He had 3 reception touchdowns in this ball game. So here's how we'll get a little bit more of a competitive matchup here, but we'll have to wait and see, as we are going to watch DeMarco Wilson, one of the best quarterbacks coming out of high school, back in the year 1 offseason. He's now a junior, and he's had a good college career so far, but hasn't led Princeton to any team success since he's walked on the campus. We'll see if he can change that narrative, as he is now going to have to take on the #1 team in the land, the Georgia Southern Eagles. And Georgia Southern, you think they're a little pissed off from losing that national championship game last year? They came into their home stadium here today, and they simply mean business. It's just it's going to be touchdowns left or right, it feels like, as Ikeda Woods, we know what he's capable of, and I'm sure Princeton's going to put a ton of attention into him as they're trying to run some of this clock out, as Ikeda is going to run a quarterback sneak. That is just such a dangerous play for the 5'6" quarterback. You know, those linemen, those big hog maulers in the front 7, they're not going to see Ikeda Woods with his size, and that's really the advantage that he brings to the table, as we're going to see Blake Williams with yet another touchdown for the Georgia Southern Eagles, as they will go ahead and take a 21-0 lead. As now we jump into the 4th quarter. Not much happening in the 3rd. That's why I don't show it, as we're going to see Ikeda Woods finally break one loose down the sideline. He's going to bring it into the end zone. Touchdown, Ikeda Woods. 28-0 now. Gonna be your score. How about this run by Ikeda Woods? Able to sidestep a couple of defenders, and then it turns into a foot race that simply not a lot of people are capable of beating. But late in the game, we are going to see one of your custom guys get into the end zone. This is Josephi Krakowski. He was the 3rd string running back last season. He is now elevated to the backup role, with Albert Miniachi now playing on Sundays instead of Saturdays. He's going to get the pitch weight from the backup quarterback, and he's going to tack on a couple of extra scores here. Georgia Southern looked good. They did not mess around. They messed around and find out, these Princeton Tigers did, and Georgia Southern, they are going to win this football game pretty convincingly. 42-7 is going to be your score. DeMarco Wilson wasn't terrible. He did not turn the football over, but his team was just simply outclassed in a major way. So we'll see if the good fortunes for top 25 teams will still continue here in this episode, as we now see number 25 ranked Tennessee Martin making their initial debut in the AP Top 25 this season. They go on the road to take on another Ivy League squad. They're taking on the Penn Quakers. Now, Penn has not won a single game this season as of yet. They are 0-2, and they are going to be looking to avoid that 0-3 start before going into Ivy League conference play. As now, we'll go ahead and see Jacobs going to try to throw it over the left-hand side, and it's going to be caught. How about that play by Chase Gentry there? Huge catch for that young man right there, as that will end up being a 1st down. We'll see if Jacobs goes back to him. He does, and Gentry is going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee Martin. You absolutely love to see it. How about that for one heck of a throw? And that will go ahead and give Tennessee Martin a nice little lead. 7-0 your score, as we're going to see a huge play in the backfield. Poor quarterback just simply did not have a chance whatsoever. So we'll see if this Penn offensive line can play a little bit better this time, giving him a little bit of time, but frozen into triple coverage. It's intercepted, and then the person that caught the interception, he fumbles the ball, and it ends up being recovered back by Penn. So, you know, they completed that deep bomb just with a bunch of extra steps. We'll see if Penn can take advantage of that, and literally the very next play, frozen interception. once again. Like, you literally cannot make this up whatsoever. So Tennessee Martin's going to get Penn off the field here as missed opportunity for the Penn Quakers. That was a chance to at least, get a field goal on the board, cut this deficit down a little bit. Little things like that is why you're 0-2, man. We just got to keep 100. As we'll go ahead and see if Penn learns from his mistakes. They're going to attack downfield once again, and this time it ends up being caught. Big time throw. And now Penn is going to have a goal line situation sitting on the 9-yard line. And, this is just a great route by the tight end. Tight end on a corner. That's just going to be a physical mismatch, forcing that one-on-one coverage. But can Penn score here in the red zone? The big reason why they're 0-2, their red zone scoring is at just 40%. They have really killed themselves with either penalties or turnovers in the red zone. But at least this time they will end up converting. And they're going to keep this game interesting. Only a 3-point game as they are going to try a Hail Mary before the half. But it's going to be intercepted. Lots of turnovers. Very sloppy performance by both teams. We see 5 turnovers in the first half. And yet only 17 points end up being scored. It was a really cringy game to watch, to be honest. But we'll see Tennessee Martin play a little bit better in the second half. They do end up tacking on a couple more field goals. And eventually forces Penn to be in a spot where, okay, we're down by 2 possessions. We'll see if we can make something happen. Gotta throw it up in the air, make a play. And it ends up being intercepted once again. That's Tyler Cook. He gets his first interception of the game. And likely this season as well, since this is only the second game for the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks. They are certainly soaring on the defensive side of the football. But we'll see if they can punch it into the end zone one more time to go ahead and close this game out. And I think that fat lady is going to be singing right now. That's going to be a touchdown for Tennessee Martin, as after the extra point kicked by fellow custom. No, they actually do not go to the custom. Chris Harris, the kicker for Tennessee Martin. The 2-point conversion ends up failing, and so it stays 22-7, but that will end up being your final score here. So the Skyhawks, they aren't too spooked by the prospects of being ranked in the AP top 25, as we are trying to see if Tennessee Martin can make their first FCS playoff appearances. It's one of those teams that has had flashes, have been ranked in the top 25, but can't put together a full body of work over the course of the season. So they'll play Tennessee Tech next week. We'll see if they can handle their business, get to 3-0, so that they can continue the push to their first FCS playoffs. Alright, boys, so we take a chance to take a look at some of the notable FCS scores around the country as people are getting settled in and for lunch in this video game universe. We start with number 8 Akron, who hosted the Morgan State Bears without Deion Kirby for the first time. And Akron ends up winning 34-13 in order to bolster their record to 4-0. Morgan State falls to 1-3. As for Eastern Michigan, they had a tough challenge on the road against the Sanford Bulldogs, and they barely escaped with their lives. Eastern Michigan wins 37-34 as the Sanford Bulldogs take their first loss of the season. As for the Temple Owls, they hosted a former Cinderella, the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. Temple does win that game 35-15 as they look to get themselves into the top 10 for the very first time this season. But we jump into the evening games here in this FCS week, and we're going to go ahead and watch what could very well be a trap game for the Montana Grizzlies. They go on the road to take on the Denver Pioneers, and while their national rank is in the lower half of this FCS dynasty, this was a team that did compete with North Dakota State, the number 4 team in the country. So if they're not careful, they could suffer their second upset loss of the season and fall to 1-2. Something that they don't want to do going into Big Sky Conference action, as they're going to start with a big throw by Jamison Skinner, and it's going to get it into the end zone. Touchdown, Montana. And that is a great throw by the true freshman quarterback, Jamison Skinner, getting that Montana Grizzlies offense started off right. And just in general starting this game really well, coming out with a lot of focus, even though there's not a lot of fans in the stands here in Denver, Colorado. We're also going to see Braylon Hurst going to take one to the crib, our first special teams touchdown of this episode. We, starting to see a decline of special teams touchdowns in light of more players being available, higher quality players, seeing a lot of teams being built up and getting better relative to where they were at year number 1. As we'll see Jamison Skinner try to run the option, gets it out to Braylon Hurst, who's going to break a couple of tackles, and he will also punch it into the end zone as well. And that is going to be a touchdown for the Montana Grizzlies. A 24-0 lead already. They're looking strong early, but can they put together a complete game? Second half, Skinner, all the time in the world. He can make himself a sandwich if he wants to. Throws it up, and his guy is going to come down and make a catch. Skinner looking sharp in this game. He's getting better. He's getting more acclimated to the speed of the college football game compared to what he was at high school. And now it's 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. Skinner dropping back. He's actually just going to try to run it into the end zone and is able to slice and dice the defense. That is a touchdown for the Montana Grizzlies. And it's quickly becoming ugly here. 31-0 is going to be your score, as Denver trying to get literally anything going, but that's just not going to happen as of right now. That is actually going to be intercepted. So we'll see how ugly this game gets and how much fight this Denver team truly has. You hate to see it, though, as they will check in on a 3rd down conversion. Can Skinner pick it up? No, it's going to be intercepted by the linebacker, Kevin Wallace, who's going to get his first interception here of the season. And how about Wells diving into the well to get all the hops necessary? And that's going to be an interception, but Denver can't do anything with it, though, as Skinner will try to throw it once again, and he gets intercepted once again. And it looks like it's Kevin Wells once more getting another pick. He did not have any turnovers forced coming into this game, and now he's got a couple to his name. Less than a minute left to play in the 3rd quarter. Can Denver finally get themselves on the board? They got to get a 3rd down conversion first. Dropping back, facing some pressure. And we will see Montana get their 2nd sack of this ball game. That was some really intense pressure. Looks like a complete loss on the offensive line, and just nothing that they could do about it. So Denver's going to punt the ball away, even though they're inside the 35-yard line. It's a bold strategy, Conan, but it actually might work out for them, as we got a scrum for the football, and Montana is not going to recover. So a special teams mishap here is going to go ahead and get Denver the football inside the 10-yard line. We'll see if they can punch it in, as they're going to line up under center. Looks like some I formation happening here, as it's going to actually be an option to the right-hand side. Gets it out to the tailback, and it's going to be in the end zone. Touchdown, Pioneers. And they will be the first to find the end zone here in gameplay. Remember, Denver was shut out in their previous gameplay appearance against North Dakota State, although they only lost by a couple of touchdowns, like I said. But nothing to worry about. Montana's still up by 24. And Jamison Skinner, man, he is still wheeling and dealing as he gets it out to Kelvin Martin. He gets his 3rd catch of the day. He now has 80 yards in this performance. Solid little fantasy football day for those that, partake in such activities. As now Skinner will drop back to pass once again, looking over the left-hand side. He's going to try to throw one down, and it's going to be intercepted instead. It's going to be the 3rd turnover that Denver is going to be able to pursue. So a sloppy 2nd half here for Montana, and listen, they're still up by 24 as Denver again can't do anything with it, but we're also going to see the true freshman custom, Johan Rummernage. He's going to fumble the football himself. So 5 turnovers in the game, and they still win the football game. That's the most important thing. It buys yourself a week, but you can't have 3, 4, 5 turnovers against your conference opponents. You think you're going to get away with that by Sacramento State, with North Dakota State, Portland State, even they're on the rise. It's going to be a tough conference. It's not going to be easy to deal with. And, we'll see if Montana can get themselves right back on track. But, even at 2-1, definitely some red flags that they're going to have to address if they want to have this kind of success that they were projected to have going into this season. So we check in on what is actually a non-top 25 matchup, but this was a game that was selected by your channel members. And if that's something that, you want to have more input in this series in the future, definitely check out that channel membership program. Obviously, you don't have to join that if you want to, just to enjoy my content. I'm not going to put a paywall for content, but it's a little extra perk for my channel content members. But should be an intriguing matchup. Alabama State, they're taking on North Carolina A&T State. The Aggies, they did make the playoffs last year, but now a new quarterback at the helm, as that's Smoke James. He's going to try to smoke the defense, and actually does initially pick up that first down. But the one thing that he forgot about actually taking care of the football. And Bo McAllister, the sophomore custom, he's going to be able to get his hands on it. And listen, it's a rainy day, man, and that's always a great equalizer. So we'll see what Alabama State does with that. As we jump in late into the first quarter, as we'll go ahead and see T.Y. Huntley actually get it to the running back, who's going to throw it out to the perimeter. It gets caught, and it's going to actually go out of bounds. But man, how about the triculation here? Able to make a play, and that's going to get that home crowd fired up, baby. You love to see it. I mean, look at this. Dude was all by himself. He was open until that corner tried to come down, and it was just too little too late. So Alabama State, they are going to be in scoring range as T.Y. Huntley, he's looking to throw it over the right-hand side, and it's all the coverage in the world, but it doesn't matter. Huge reception. Going to get him inside the 5-yard line. Big-time throw by the junior custom, T.Y. Huntley. And we'll see if they can finish the drive off, getting it out to the tailback, and the tailback is going to punch it in. Touchdown, Alabama State. And we got an early 7-0 lead for the Hornets. As now Smoke James under center, facing a 10-0 deficit, gets it out to his tailback, and his guy is going to fumble the football. Yeah, absolutely hate to see it. North Carolina A&T, they are falling apart at the seams, it appears, as that is going to be yet another turnover that we are going to witness. As it looks like they'll try to cash in on the turnover. T.Y. Huntley in the play action, going to throw it into the end zone, and it ends up being caught. Touchdown, Alabama State, and we got ourselves a custom-to-custom score. That is T.Y. Huntley getting into the fellow custom Trey Williams, also in his junior campaign, and a 17-0 lead. As North Carolina State, they're going to try to run its own halfback pass. He tries to throw it up into the air, and what is he looking at? What was that guy actually looking at? I have no idea. Like, you can't really blame this on Smoke James, but man, just really the offensive execution for the entire Aggie offense has been an absolute dumpster fire. We'll see if they can turn around going into the halftime locker room, as James got some time to work with, throws it over the middle of the field, and that ends up being intercepted as well. That's going to be the 4th turnover forced by the Alabama State defense in the first half alone. Just absolutely bone-crushing defense that Alabama State is playing right now. Huge transformation from year number 1, back when they gave up 100+ points to New Mexico State. I know some of you OGs have been watching this series for a while, definitely remember that. But Alabama State's looking good. They got a field goal off at the end of the half. They're up 20-0. As we'll see T.Y. Huntley try to throw it to the right-hand side. It does end up getting intercepted, and that will be taken back to the crib. So T.Y. Huntley's intercepted is going to cost the first points of the North Carolina State day. How they're going to get their first points of the game. Gets it cut down to 13 points, but just when you think North Carolina A&T, they're getting back into this game, we see something happen here on special teams. If I show something special teams, you already know what's about to go down. Something special is about to go down, as he is going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, Alabama State, as that will restore their lead up to 20 points here. and that will help increase their lead further. 30-7 eventually ends up being your score, as we'll see if North Carolina A&T can also step back and get themselves a special team touchdown. We got some nice blocking to get to the outside. Mama, there goes that man down the sideline, and that will also be a special teams touchdown for the Aggies of North Carolina A&T, unless we see lightning strike twice. We've seen 2 special teams plays in a row. Are we going to see a third? Kickoff over to the right-hand side. He already has 1 special teams touchdown. Somebody call it a Drake song, because we are going back-to-back touchdown, Alabama State. And we even see one of the defensive backs, if that play on special team gets hurt, he might have low-key suffered a concussion. We'll see if we see any updates for him. But yeah, just not a great day for North Carolina A&T. Just like Montana that we saw in that previous game in this episode, they are going to turn the ball over at least 5 times. The difference is Alabama State is a much more quality of opponent. And T.Y. Huntley, he's going to look over to the left-hand side. It ends up being caught off the tip. It's the backup tight end who's going to mess around and find the end zone as well. That is a converted linebacker that is going to put it into the end zone. I mean, look at this. You know, it was a nice deflection, but just sometimes not the 50-50 balls are not going to go your way. And it looks like that's what we're seeing right now, as, you know, we'll see if Smoke James can get his team together. Gets a good throw off, but again, his team's kind of selling him a little bit. As Dante Randolph, a fellow, he's a junior. He's got that experience. He can't, you know, recover the fumble. At Alabama State, they get it that 6 turnover force. And we'll see T.Y. Huntley try to go to work. Throwing over to the left-hand side. Goes back to that converted tight end. He looks good in the open field, man. What can I say? You know, making the most of his opportunity, that's for sure. As T.Y. Huntley looks to the right-hand side, goes to the starting tight end for the Alabama State Hornets. And they will end up getting that 50 burger, as Alabama State, they're not the ones getting blown out for a change. They are the ones doing the blowing out of other teams. It's absolutely incredible, as Smoke James trying to at least make the scoreboard look a little bit more respectable. He will end up finding his receiver for a 58-yard touchdown, so that, you know, helps make Smoke James' stats look a tad bit better. But it doesn't change the fact that North Carolina A&T, they got steamrolled in this one. All of their points do come in the second half, but Alabama State with that 31-point third quarter, it was barbecue chicken. So we will go ahead and now see the formation game of the week. We got number 2 New Hampshire, the defending national champions. They go on the road to start ACC conference action. They will be taking on the number 14 team in college football. We got South Carolina State. And this is going to be a fun little preview. This could very well end up being a potential conference championship level game. We might see these guys again late in the season, but this New Hampshire offense, you know, they got a really good running back, even though they don't use him very often. Zach Howe, he's a sophomore here at New Hampshire. He's got 4 touchdowns on this season, and with that balance, Lee Corso going to be rocking with the New Hampshire Wildcats. As we'll go ahead and get things underway, we're going to start with Carlos McDougal trying to dump it off, but his guy's going to also throw the football. This is how the first score is going to happen. Touchdown, New Hampshire. And the opening drive for South Carolina State, it does end up with points, but it ends up with points for the other team. That's crazy. As McDougal, he does make the right read. You know, his guy he took a really hard hit. And that is going to lead to a fumble just like that. But I really want to see how, you know, Bruno Baggio is able to direct this offense. You know, true freshman. This is his first really hostile environment. We'll see how the true freshman handles it. Bruno dropping back. He's going to look to the left-hand side. And it's initially tipped. And it's going to end up being caught. Oh, my goodness. I mean, the coverage was absolutely fantastic. You can't even be mad at it. But, you know, here we are, barbecue on the titties. New Hampshire is crossed midfield. Bruno looking over the middle of the field. He wants to attack deep, and he's going to find his man into the end zone. Touchdown, Wildcats. That is a big-time throw by the true freshman, Bruno Baggio. I mean, he was going to face a little bit of pressure eventually. He recognized the one-on-one coverage, and it's going to be 14-3 right away. As now, Carlos McDougal looking to answer back here midway through the third quarter. As McDougal in the shotgun, he's going to try to go with the quarterback draw, but it ends horribly as it looks like the All-American Tavita Bean's going to land on it. We also see Carlos McDougal get hurt. Does that mean we see an early collegiate debut for Eric Pierpoint? He's one of the backups on the South Carolina State football team listed at quarterback. Something to potentially monitor. But when you get late into the game, that's when that running game really starts to come in handy. He gets 13, he has his 13th carry. So again, not a guy that they use much, but really makes the most of his opportunities. 87 yards on the ground. We'll see if they go back to him here as he is in the backfield in the shotgun. We'll see what Baggio does. It's a true pass. No, it's going to be a quarterback draw, but he gets absolutely tattooed. Oh my. We got to take a look at that hit once again. Boom. That is an incredible hit. But Bruno Baggio, he watches those hockey highlights, so he's okay, but he's not going to be okay with this interception that he just thrown. Taking it down the field, and it's going to be a pick six that will ultimately get this South Carolina State squad. It's going to get them back into this football game. It was 17-3 at first. A score there could have ended the game, and now it's just a one-possession ball game. Anything could happen now, any given Saturday, like I said, here in this game of the week. And we'll see if Bruno Baggio can shake off that interception. They choose to pass once again, but it's going to be yet another interception. Look at that. 2 turnovers in a row. Call it a back-to-back Drake song. As Bruno Baggio, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's safe to say that he is rattled by the South Carolina State crowd, and a chance for them to possibly tie this game up. 2:30 left to play. McDougal returns into the game, throws it up, and it's going to be intercepted. Oh, that was a contested catch that he asked this guy to make against multiple starters returning from that national championship team, and it don't work out. So New Hampshire, they are going to hang on. They're going to win this football game 17-10. Does end up being your final score. Gonna have to see more consistency out of Bruno Baggio, because that type of performance will not work all the time, but it's good to see that this program is capable of winning in multiple ways. We have already seen that this season. Offense led the day against Brown in their opener, and it was their defense that rallied back and helped this team win here in week number 4. So as we see the afternoon progress, we still see some notable teams around the country play some good football, and Rice is certainly one of them right now. They win against Towson to start conference play, winning by 21 points. This is Towson's first loss of the season. As for Utah State, they went on the road to go up against the Kangaroos of Missouri, Kansas City, and Utah State, a competitive game for them. They win by a score of 36-23 to move to 3-0. As for Portland State, though, they went on the road to go to the West Coast in San Jose State, and Portland State, they laid the lumber, putting up 63 points in a convincing win over the Spartans, winning by 31. They're still undefeated as well. That is for Portland State. However, we do get a major upset happening here in this episode, as Central Michigan is going to go down. 21-20 is going to be your final score, as Western Kentucky is able to pull off the big win at home, which moves them to 3-0 here in this young season. A team to potentially watch out for. But now we see ourselves in the primetime window, and now we'll check in on a game that should have honestly been game of the week if a certain team didn't get upset in their opener against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Still a really good matchup, though. Texas Southern, they do come in ranked number 9 in the country. And James Madison, in spite of the loss, they are currently sitting at the they're still sitting at number 13, so still a very respectable ranking. But that being said, you probably don't want to see your team go 0-2 to start the year. And this is a good way to start. Devin Rogers going to the Heisman finalist, David Foreign, who's going to go ahead and score himself a 57-yard touchdown, as that will go ahead and give James Madison an early lead. And that's exactly how you want to play here in your home opener. Get that crowd ready to go. As now Rogers drawing back the pass. He's going to look again over to the left-hand side. He gets it out to Connor, and Connor is going to high step his way into the end zone. Touchdown, James Madison. This is the Stephen Rogers that we have been accustomed to seeing ever since he took over the starting job back in year number 3. And we'll see how Texas Southern responds. This is typically not how you want to go about playing these guys. Texas Southern, they're more of a run-heavy football team with Roderick Murray in the backfield. But Adam Mayhew, he can do some things as well, doing a nice job of navigating that pocket. And Texas Southern, just like that, makes it a one-possession game. Beautiful job there navigating the pocket as well. And it's now going to be a 14-7 game. Very competitive game so far. Is now Stephen Rogers under center, going with the 4-wide set. Could potentially be, no, going to get it out to the tailback. He's getting some nice running, but he fumbles the ball. It's on the ground. And Texas Southern is going to recover. Here comes an opportunity to go ahead and tie this football game up all of a sudden. I mean, this was a great run. I mean, you absolutely hate to see this. I mean, Marcus Bryant had a great job running the football. They got lucky that it didn't turn into any points. But in spite of the fumble, they go back to Marcus Bryant, who's able to get some blocks down the sideline. He's now getting loose, and he gets all the way to about the 40-yard line. You know, Coach Montano, he likes to go air raid, but Marcus Bryant is too talented to not give him the football at least a dozen times in this game. He already has a yards per carry average of 16 yards in spite of the fumble, as they do try to go back to him, trying to set up a something in the underneath, but looks like there might have been some miscommunication, because that's going to be an easy interception here for Stacy Demps. Stacy's mom certainly got it going on. He certainly got that touchdown going on as well, and Texas Southern now ties this game up. So now, 1 minute left to play in the first half. Rogers looks over to the right-hand side, throws it right over the middle of the field. It goes to Jonathan Henderson, the junior custom, who's able to find that soft spot in the defense. And it will set up a red zone opportunity for James Madison. Looking over the middle of the field, going up, and is going to find one of his favorite targets, the junior, Jody Gentry, the custom wide receiver, going up and mossing a couple of defenders. And that extends the lead for the James Madison Dukes. Later on in the game, Marcus Bryant, he's going to get involved. Like I said, this kid is just too talented to not give him the ball in different ways. He gets a passing opportunity, and what does he do? Make a good decision, freezes that defender that opens up Jody Gentry for the touchdown. Wow, words are extremely hard, you guys. I'm going to tell you what, but you know what's not hard? James Madison playing defense. They're going to pick off Adam Mayhew here with 3:50 left to play here in this football game. And it looks like if there's a moment where James Madison just absolutely goes ahead and runs away with this game, I think this is the moment that we're going to see right here. We'll see what they do here on this drive. Rogers under center, fakes the toss, throws it over the middle, and what are we doing? What are we actually doing? Trying to get it out to the sophomore, Brad Ondrauzi, but there was 4, 5, even 6 defenders, dare I say it, that were around this kid. I mean, just not a wise decision. Now, again, Texas Southern doesn't score off the turnover, but, you know, some things that you got to clean up. But luckily, that high-end talent will be able to help them pull away here, as Jody Gentry is going to take the top of the the defense once again. That's going to make it a 40 burger for James Madison. 41-14 going to be your score as Jody Gentry just running away from that secondary. And he's going to be named player of the game as well. 4 catches, 142 yards, and 3 touchdowns as well. But y'all already know it's been a group effort all day long. 3rd and 13. Mayhew dropping back the pass. He's going to fumble the football. And it's going to be recovered by the Dukes of James Madison once again. And that is actually the true freshman, Jose Pilo, who's going to drive the ball loose, give James Madison the football, and they get one more score before this game officially ends. 48-14. It does end up being your final score. We'll see if they can be this type of team. I think this is the team that we should expect to see throughout the whole season. Well, it's not a perfect game by any means. I mean, we saw Stephen Rogers have multiple turnovers in this football game. That's the type of performance that you want to see in a top 25 matchup. So now we got ourselves one last game here in this episode. We got Eastern Kentucky playing host to Southeastern Louisiana, and Eastern Kentucky, they are coming off of a really head-scratching loss. You know, they did lose the game, right? They lose to Nicholls State, which is a solid program, don't get me wrong, but not only did they lose, they got blown out by Nicholls State, and we'll see what Eastern Kentucky has in them. How do they recover from that kind of performance? So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to see Coates throw it into the back of the end zone, and that is an absolute dime. Touchdown, Eastern Kentucky. And that is the kind of start that you want to see, you know, trying to come out here and prove that, hey, that team that took the field last week, that was a fluke. And Drew Brown, he is finding this out the absolute hard way, as that is going to be picked off. And Eastern Kentucky, they got that opening drive score. They're also going to get that opening turnover as well. So we'll see if Eastern Kentucky can punch it in. For second and goal from the 5. It's a play action. Looking over to his right. Coates trying to run to the end zone. Makes a couple of defenders miss. And it's a touchdown for the Colonels of Eastern Kentucky, as they will quickly race out to a 14-0 lead. You know, Coates making a couple of defenders miss. And now Drew Brown's got some work to do. He's got some great receivers, though. Trying to go to one of them over on the left-hand side, and it ends up being dropped right in the bucket. How about that? Sanders making the catch and getting his guys to about midfield. But does face a 3rd and long. A couple plays later, though, as Brown trying to make something shake here, trying to set up the screen. Over to the right-hand side is Mateo West, who puts the ball on the ground, and it does not go out of bounds. So he was not going to pick up the first down, even if he didn't fumble that football. But the fact that he gave the other team great field position when they're already down by 2 scores, definitely a really tough look. And Coates, he's feeling himself today. He's going to throw one up in the air, and it's going to end up being caught. Now we're looking at potentially yet another red zone opportunity, as that is McFarland that had that one-on-one coverage, and he just used that size advantage to make that contested grab. As now 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. Coates going to the tailback. It's an option with the tailback. He don't need that extra man, though, because he's going to run it in all by himself. Touchdown, Eastern Kentucky. And the Colonels not even done with the first quarter of action. They're going to be up 21-0 here, and this is the kind of football team that, you know, you want to see when you're coming off of a not even heartbreaking, but a soul-crushing loss that we saw last week against Nicholls State. They're really taking that anger out on Southeastern Louisiana, who, tailback, by the way, almost gets another score. That is Lonnie Rouse, almost with 100 yards on the day. We're not even done with the first half. That's the crazy part in all of this. We are not even done with the first half of action, and they might be punching it into the end zone once again, as Coates looks to the right-hand side, gets an easy throw and catch. That's barbecue chicken, man. Touchdown, Eastern Kentucky. 28-0 is going to be your score. Coates is feeling himself. This entire offense is absolutely feeling themselves right now, and that's going to be a 30-burger before we go into the halftime locker room. That's the crazy part in all of this. It is 34-0 going into halftime, and it was just barbecue chicken from there. Eastern Kentucky, they handle their business, prove that yes, they are a top 25 team, beating Southeastern Louisiana by a score of 43-7. So before we go into the AP Top 25, as well as all that other good stuff, let's take a look at some of the late night games that we saw around the FCS, starting with Youngstown State. They are hosting Florida Atlantic, and they lose yet again, 27-17, going to be your final score, as the Penguins, who came into this year with high expectations, they're already 0-2, and their season is in serious jeopardy. As for the Eastern Carolina Pirates, they are able to notch their first win of this season on the road against the Elon Phoenix, as Eastern Carolina blows the doors open, a 32-point victory to get that first win of year number 4. As for Northwestern State, they're looking to bounce back off of a rough end to year number 3 as the Northwestern State Demons, they go demon time on the Buffalo Bulls, winning by 32 points. Northwestern State getting their first win of the season. As for San Diego State, they continue their unbeaten seat in regular season action in this series. This time they beat Northern Arizona at home, but in a close one, 34-26, ending up being your final score. And finally, to wrap up the FCS action here in week number 4, we got SMU able to beat Tulane on the road, as the number 23 ranked team in the nation is able to beat the Tulane Green Wave by a final score of 38-17. So I can't believe we're already almost a third of the way into the college football season, and we got some movement in the AP poll, as well as some movement in the Heisman watch. So we'll go ahead, we'll check that out right now. We're going to start with the AP Top 25. We don't see a lot of movement, at least in this top 6, top 7. You know, the top 8 does remain pretty much exactly the same. We do see Kent State move up 1 spot to number 9, and James Madison up to number 10 in the country after their victory against Texas Southern. We do also see Sacramento State hold. Temple is also going to hold at their current position, with Utah State moving up a couple of spots as well. They're off to a great start, as is Eastern Michigan, who's now number 14 in the country. Now, in the bottom half of this AP poll, we do see Portland State moving up as well. They're number 15 in the nation. Texas Southern, who is currently under NCAA probation, is their number 16 after their loss to James Madison in embarrassing fashion, might have added. Plus, we got Rice moving up 1 spot. South Carolina State, they only moved down 4 spots. I like that because it doesn't really punish them for losing against a top 5 team, defending national champions, might I add. So no problem with that whatsoever. Sam Houston State and Eastern Kentucky both move up 1. SMU moves up a couple of spots, as does Montana. And then wrapping out the top 25, we got Tennessee Martin at number 23 in the country, and 2 newcomers, Arkansas Pine Bluff, who, fun fact, went on the road against Alabama and beat Alabama. So that is definitely well earned. Congratulations to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Plus, Western Kentucky was able to kick out Central Michigan as well. They're now number 25 in the country. So that does mean a couple of teams did end up falling out. Central Michigan and Youngstown State are no longer a part of the top 25. Do have some schools receiving some votes though. Weber State is in there, as is Sanford, in spite of their loss to Eastern Michigan last week. Also in this group is Youngstown State, Towson, Northern Arizona, Southeastern, and Northern Iowa rounds out the group that's also receiving votes. So this is what the Heisman watch is now looking like as we approach week number 5 of the FCS Dynasty. Caden Woods is still hanging strong at first place. He got a couple of touchdowns in his performance against Princeton at home. But we do have some guys moving in an upward direction. Marty Subar moves up to number 2 with his solid performance against Morgan State. He had a touchdown and 74 receiving yards. Ryan Vaughn, the sophomore quarterback, had a great game against Northern Arizona. He had 220 yards passing and 3 touchdowns through the air as well. He's off to a strong start to the season once again, as is his receiver, Jonathan Bauer. Jonathan Bauer off to a good start so far. 5 touchdown grabs already. He's got 27 grabs for about 300 yards. Finally, someone that is holding on in the Heisman watch that is going in the opposite direction is Jason Shaw. Now, Jason Shaw was busy in his game against New Hampshire, 25 carries for looks like 210 yards on the ground. So this is a guy that was busy, could not find the end zone, however, and that was an issue that prevented South Carolina State from winning the football game. So since we already are at week number 5, what we will end up doing in the next episode, we will go ahead and take a deep dive into the conference championship standings as we get through officially 1/3 of the season. It's been a fun season so far, but we got 8 more games, 6 of which are going to be national televised, and 2 more that are to be determined, and those will be shown in the next episode as well. So a full slate of games that has a lot of intrigue, and I hope you guys are excited for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J. Gaming on the mic signing off, but I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.